Hi everyone. It's me. Uh, Hi. Welcome to TWF. Collision or hit.
Forward 5 seconds.
You know, Collision or hit. I, Tony Schiavone, here with Gorilla Monsoon.
Back 5 seconds.
With Booker T. And then today on Collision or Hit, we have a new doll that's going to showing up here today. Lady Mary Perkins. That's right, everyone. I am Lady Mary Perkins. I am 39 years old, and I come from the Commonwealth of Australia, or the Folkreich of the Southern Land. I am a stockholder in TKO Team Holdings, which owns WWE, UFC, and the Skill Bold Riders. I also am a half owner of Melbourne Sitting in Business. I also have the Glamour Robes. I own a Rover. I bought the steam car that Franny Fisher drives on Miss Fisher's slaying, unknowns. And I also own myself a ship. And I've been doing all of these sagas, and I got many friends. I have Maven McMahon, Winifred Brown, Ernest P. Worrell, Chorkina, David Green, my housekeeper. I also got my half owner in the Melbourne shitting business, like David Cross, and director of modeling of sitting businesses, Alfred Green. But I also have other friends like, Megan McGuire, Tiffany Wilkins, Victoria Rosenberg, Cassidy Simmons, who's a crafting overseer and film and film shooter. Also, don't forget about Colleen Morgan. Now, you might ask yourself and say, well, Lady Mary Perkins, how did you become a lady? I inherited my Uncle Edward and my Aunt Marie's house. I inherited their wealth, including the rank of lady, which we all know the folks in the Alderling clubs of the 4-1 Kingdom would think that you can't call yourself a lady because you weren't wedlocked to a knight. Oh no. You weren't wedlocked to an Alderling, whatever. But someone put me up to this dare, to be a wrestler. And that's what I'm going to do. So, who's going to be the one to want to take me up on my first match? And Ernest oathed me that I would be wrestling, someone that would be, smooth to beat. Well, whoa, fuck! Oh, bloody hell, I don't want to fall down and land like that. Bloody wakefulness. Well, no. It's got to be someone I know that I can get the win over, and can't get the win over these two. Yeah, well, they don't know who Lady Mary Perkins is going to be fighting. So, here we go. Handpicked by Ernest P. Worrell, you get to fight the Cyclops, or the One-Eye. Well, shit, I'm not gonna fall down again. How many times am I gonna bloody fall down? Well, ding-ding-ding, well, here it goes. Lady Mary Perkins is gonna get ready now. And we'll see what she can do. She called herself the Wander Down Under. Called herself the Queen of Melbourne. And right now, she is taking out the Cyclops, or the One-Eye, Tony Schiavone said. Well, I can tell you something, Gorilla Monsoon said. Lady Mary Perkins is what happens if you take Franny Fisher and Ace Ventura, and you put them together. That's what you get. Is that so? Booker T says. Well, I never saw anyone quite like her. And she doesn't behave the way she does, Booker T says. And dig this one, Tony Schiavone says. She drinks Mountain Lightning or Hill Lightning instead of Mountain Dew or Hill Dew because it's worth too much. She might be wealthy, but she always watches her wealth because she knows that other folks don't have the wealth, and she does it to help others. Oh, that's true, Gorilla Monsoon says. Many folks in this world don't know that you can't have enough of it and you can't have little of it, but you can lose what you have, and if you don't have it, well, you haven't already lost it. You know? And now the Cyclops coming back right now. Oh! And hitting Lady Mary Perkins. Her ladyship is in a bind right now, Tony Schiavone says. It looks like she's got a bind, Gorilla Monsoon said she had to get out of it. I'll tell you what, Tony and Gorilla, the way I look at this one is a non-wrestler, a non-fighter of any kind should not be in the ring. And Ernest P. Worrell should be ashamed that he even put his childhood friend in this bind. Would you stop? Gorilla Monsoon says. Ernest P. Worrell shouldn't be ashamed for this, Tony Schiavone says. Yeah, Tony Schiavone said. The Cyclops coming back. Lady Mary Perkins coming up and knocking down the Cyclops. You know? And coming from the top steeple right now, Lady Mary Perkins is in a bind. You know? And here it comes. She's taking down the Cyclops, Tony Schiavone says. She calls this the wonder down under. The Cyclops of the one eye is beaten, Tony Schiavone said. It looks like Gorilla Monsoon said you might have to eat your words, Booker T. Well, that's what I gotta do that then, Booker T said I will. A dumb bimbo from the folk wealth of the Southern land. You know? Then I guess I'll do that. 1, 2, 3. Ding ding ding. Here is your winner, Lady Mary Perkins. Well, Lady Mary Perkins has won this match here today on Collision or Hit. You know? And no one quite knows if this is a one-off or we're going to see other matches from her ladyship here in the Toy Wrestling Gathering, Gorilla Monsoon says. To tell you the truth, we may, never know, Tony Schiavone says, if that is true or not. But we hope to see more matches from her ladyship here in the Toy Wrestling Gathering too, Tony Schiavone says. I guess so, Booker T says. I wonder if she can stand up by herself or she's going to need a stand. She needs a stand. She's been drinking again. Lady Mary Perkins doesn't drink. What? She's a drunk, Booker T says. She already fell in the ring like 2 times. You know what, Gorilla Monsoon said? You should be ashamed of yourself, saying mean things about someone you don't even know. Would you stop? Alright, Tony Schiavone says. Take it away, Jim Ross. Thank you, Tony Schiavone and Gorilla Monsoon. I'm going to be talking with Lady Mary Perkins here today, on Collision or Hit. Alright, Lady Mary Perkins, it seems to you had your first match here in the Toy Wrestling Gathering, against the Cyclops, or the One-Eye. Well, my childhood friend Ernest P. Worrell told me that I would have a good match. He said, Mary, I think that you'll have a great match. He handpicked someone he knew was smooth. And now is it true that when Ernest P. Worrell was a outside drafted learner in the folk wealth of the southern land, you befriended him? Yes, I did. There are many folks that made fun of him for speaking American English or 4-1 Reichs English and not speaking Australian English, or as we'll call it, Southern Land English, and I was his friend ever since that day. Well, also, do you see yourself having more matches here in the toy wrestling gathering? I don't know about that, Jim Ross. This might be a one-off. You know, I'm no wrestler, no fighter, no boxer. So at the end of the day, I think this would be a one-off. And would you like to say something about Booker T saying you're drunk because you fell the ring 2 times and you fell off this stand, you fell off this board? I don't drink beer or Earl or wine. I wasn't drunk when I fell the ring those 2 times. Guilted on bloody wakefulness, Booker T. Well, that was my talk with Lady Mary Perkins. Back to you, Tony Schiavone and Gorilla Monsoon. Well, thank you, Jim Ross, for talking with Lady Mary Perkins here today on Collision or Hit. And that's all the time we got it for Collision or Hit. I, Tony Schiavone, with Gorilla Monsoon and Booker T. We hope you like Collision or Hit, and we'll see you tomorrow for Power or Might.